Gold prices are $1,000 more an ounce this year.
That's not bad.
Holy smokes.
Of President Donald Trump, these narco-terrorists who have for a long time impeded our ports and especially were successful in trafficking fentanyl and drugs over our southern border when it was open under the auto pen. We had the opportunity to speak with Daily Caller's Ashley Brassfield this week to keep us abreast on a number of different issues, including a Republican scandal, Tony Gonzalez potentially, Texas, the congressman in an alleged affair with staffer who sadly succumbed to burns that she sustained earlier in September. So a whole host of issues. Speaking to Ashley this week on Capitol Hill. Welcome back to RSBN's Live Desk. It's Ashley Brassfield. She's our eyes and ears in Washington, D.C.
Hi, are you able to hear the sound, them talking?
DC Capitol Hill reporter with the Daily Caller. Oh my goodness gracious, we're at day 41 of this government shutdown. Well, it gets through the Senate, but with all those revisions, so it has to go back to the House now. But some breaking news. Representative Anna Paulina Luna of the Free Sunshine State of Florida has stated that Speaker Johnson notifying her regarding the reopening of a bill to ban insider trading. Ashley, I'm so excited about this because if you're Martha Stewart or a private citizen, you get an ankle bracelet. You have to go to court. But if you're a member of Congress, I guess you get that privilege of insider trading like Nancy Pelosi does.
Yeah, it's really incredible. There's several ETFs that, have been formed to really track these politicians, specifically Nancy Pelosi. Even on the Republican side, I think Dan Crenshaw, Marjorie Taylor Greene have been named even as well. So this is one of those bipartisan issues where you have kind of these politicians taking advantage, and it is legal. But I think it does play into the fact, can we have visibility of what they're actually doing and how they're making so much money, even as a public servant?
Yes, and we have with MTG as well some disagreements with President Trump on focusing on foreign policy rather than domestic policy. We know what happened last week with the elections, and I think some can argue.
Did the link not go up there? I don't think I shared that link. Oh, I didn't. All right. There's the link.
Those Doge cuts really not so great in the Virginia suburbs of Washington, D.C., as in Northern Virginia really does make a big effect on the rest of the state. And then the Garden State of New Jersey, so many people moving out, 850,000 more Democrats registered there than there are Republicans. But we now have a communist who's mayor-elect in New York City. But people saying on these exit polls that they want affordability, which is ironic given that these policies will probably make things more expensive. So who gets it right at the end of the day here for Republicans moving to the midterms? Is it President Trump meeting with foreign leaders, or Marjorie Taylor Greene focus on domestic policies, or a bit of a mix of the two?
I love that question. I think that is one of the debates that's happening within the Republican Party right now. I do think affordability, like you said, is that new buzzword that's been used even by Democrats going into what is now the 2026 midterms, where we kind of saw it transpire in these.
Hi.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. So what's going on with your speakers?
Oh, I came in here to get ready and I saw that they were off. So I thought, maybe they just turned themselves off, which they don't. My whole system was actually off.
Oh,
I got everything up and working, but these crap themselves. I unplugged it and I did everything. I even researched what I could do, everything. And yeah, it says it could be within the a failure within the speakers.
Yeah.
I
used to have
good care of them. So how did they do so quickly? So I started to think maybe because the wires are bent.
Oh yeah, that could be it, maybe.
So I literally had to reorder. They're similar but a different. They're called Red Dragon. They're a little
Yeah.
bit, they're still the LEDs because I do like those. It's frustrating. I really liked these ones. And I haven't even had them a year. Oh, they're making a week. Alrighty, but we're here as long as you guys can hear me. Let's see what.
last three elections in Virginia, New Jersey, and New York City. But I do think this is an interesting time period where, I think President Trump made a good point in the Oval Office yesterday that he needs to be focused on, keeping our country safe from international issues and wars and finishing those. But I do think a lot of people voted for the president. We were on the campaign trail talking about no tax on tips, no tax on capital gains, all these, domestic policy issues, which some were delivered in the big, beautiful bill, but that was passed months ago. So I think there needs to be a reminder and it needs to be palpable in some way for the American people to see that money coming back into their pockets. And that's either at the grocery store where, yes, maybe prices have dropped, or the gas pump. But I think, the cost of living, even in these, Democrat cities that continue to vote for people like socialists and Zohran Mamdani, feel like the capital system is failing them. We saw educated women specifically voting in favor of Zohran Mamdani, educated men, immigrants, and transplants that came to the city in the last 10 years. So, in that city where so much damage has been done, I would say in the last, 10, 15 years under Democrat leadership, I can understand why they wouldn't believe in the capitalist system. But I do think this comes back down to the fact that they're offering this new solution to them. You have this higher ed degree, but all you can do is get a job at a coffee shop in Brooklyn. It is failing them to their sense. Maybe that's not a practical thing usually that usual Americans across the country are seeing, but I do think that is playing a part here. And I think the Trump administration agrees and sees that they need to, concentrate on that going forward into 2026. And GOP Republicans too. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene has a good point. You kind of saw a spat happen yesterday with the president and her, but I think there can be middle ground made there. And I think she's making a good point. I think the president understands the point as well. So I think, she's been a huge ally. I think it's going to be a very interesting conversation going forward.
No question about it. And these tariffs that have led to billions coming into the United States might be a new subsidy for Americans, as President Trump has stated that he'd like to send out checks of averaging around that $2,000 mark for those who qualified based on the surplus from these tariffs. Now, some are saying it should go directly to scale down the debt immediately, but we'll see with that, as well as 50-year fixed mortgages. But that is somewhat above my pay grade in order to bring in 2026 that's going to be more affordable for Americans. And we know that Secretary Besson also stating that recently in various interviews. Now, Ashley, I had the chance to see MTG with the great Megyn Kelly doing that tour, very similar to the Turning Point tour. And she walks right out there. It felt like a Turning Point event right outside of Atlanta, Georgia. It was immense fun with my mom and with friends as well, getting together for this evening where Miss Kelly would walk out, answer questions just as Charlie did, especially if you disagree with her on various issues, but then have special guests, whether it's politicians to comedians to those in the culture wars, including the great John Rich, to honor our veterans this week. We know country music superstar John Rich loves to do that, but something that was very key in this discussion on Saturday night, that Jeffrey Epstein, and you're reporting on this, might have had a link between Russia and Israel dating back to the early 2010s into certain conflicts that lasted through 2013. Can you divulge some of this and the fact that he might be an agent or a foreign agent? What's going on with this late Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah, I think this is a total Washington thing where they're playing, what vocabulary term can you put in there? And is he or isn't he it? That's just typical Washington. But what was true is that these emails were leaked by a bunch of hackers that you're talking about specifically. And we did a quick report on this to kind of highlight the main points of it. But I mean, it's thousands of emails between Jeffrey Epstein and former prime minister, and I believe defense minister as well, Ehud Barak, who's a popular name within, the Epstein circle. He lived with Epstein at his New York City penthouse for a time period as well. So very well-known name. But obviously Israel ties as far as, coming to defense as the former prime minister. But this was during the Syrian conflict that was happening back in the 2013, 2014 era, so Obama administration. And Jeffrey Epstein was acting almost as a middleman, I would say, between trying to allow him, Ehud Barak, to have meetings with the Kremlin, with Putin, his highest advisors, to see if Russia could step in, as well as the Obama administration, and trying to oust the Assad regime in Syria at the time, who was using chemical weapons against its own people. And so I think that this was a pretty eye-opening moment to what a lot of people thought. Still the clarity on if these emails are truly from Epstein and Ehud Barak, I should preface that. But I do think if they are, it does show Jeffrey Epstein, who, he had billion-dollar clients. This is somebody who was around businessmen with over billions of dollars. That was kind of his shtick at the time. So I don't think it would become a surprise to anyone, the intelligence ties, when you're dealing with people of that caliber. So I think this isn't something that it really surprised people. That's what the intelligence ties question kind of was remaining on. So I think the assistance and the networking with higher ups in the Obama administration, in the Kremlin, in the Israeli government, it just highlights this in this story specifically. So I think, if they are true, it kind of confirms what a lot of people already believed about Epstein. And yeah, I think middleman might be that term that people want to look for, and, talking about his relations between foreign governments as well as the U.S.
And does this relate directly to the trafficking or the moving of the sex trafficking of children throughout different areas of the world, or is this more of these investments in his alleged ties to being a fixer, if you will, of those wealthy individuals and those oligarchs that crazy Bernie Sanders talks about, but always seems to be funded by?
Yeah, I think there's kind of three components to Epstein. I think there's the human trafficking ties that people still have questions to, the intelligence ties, and even the ties to higher education. He communicated with top officials at Harvard University and multiple other universities, scientists. So he had this kind of broad interest in kind of foreign policy, being around higher up business people, like Leslie Wexner, who he was very close to for a period of time. So I do think that's what makes the Epstein story so interesting. It's the fact that there's so many unanswered questions still to this day. And when it comes to, the intelligence ties, this was assisting deals between countries, and in this case, to stop a war that was going on that was terrible at the time, but also assisting the Israeli government with Russia and the United States. So it kind of shows the power hold that Epstein had, allowing someone like Ehud Barak, who was a former prime minister of a country. Jeffrey Epstein's just a businessman and dealer in this scenario. So I do think it shows the power that he held, if these emails are true.
Yes, it's fascinating. We'll watch it very closely. Thanks for diving into it and doing the real journalistic integrity I think that this country is yearning for. And now back stateside, rather a sad story and disgusting in a sense that we could have Congressman Tony Gonzalez, a Republican from Texas, who allegedly had an affair with a staffer by the name of Regina Santos Aviles, and she set herself on fire. I mean, this is a terrible story in Uvalde, Texas, and sadly, at the end of September, succumbing to her injuries in the hospital. And I did not know this, but based on your excellent reporting, that it's illegal in part of House ethics for congressmen to have any sort of affair, any sexual encounter with their staffer.
Yes, and I think that this is a huge aspect of the story, is the idea that Tony Gonzalez, a sitting congressman, is having a possible affair with a young woman in his district. Tony Gonzalez has 6 children and is married. So this is all alleged at this point. But I do think it's very interesting, considering the circumstances around it. She was separated from her husband, I believe, at the time, has 1 child with him. So very interesting ties here, the timing of it all, and speculation, with an ongoing investigation going on in Uvalde County, Texas, about really what happened. There were surveillance cameras at the house. So still some missing details there. Obviously, all this is alleged. But speculation as to what this could lead to, whether it be a House ethics violation, having an affair with a staffer in Congress, which would violate that if that is true.
And it seems as if there is, although an open investigation, a ruling of suicide, but is there any evidence of potential foul play in a situation that just seems really just horrible and desperate to end your life in this manner, regardless of the circumstances?
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, the investigation is still going on. So even the idea that it is a suicide, it could have been, an accident at this point as well. So not to rule that out either. But also, I think the police came out due to the video surveillance that they had seen, kind of ruling out foul play to a certain extent. She was home alone, is I believe what the police report said. So I think it really does lean back on the suicide, or was it a accident at this point?
Yes, and our thoughts and prayers involved with everyone in that situation. I even think of our great police officers who respond to tragic cases such as that, even if they're high profile or not, and they remain that because of who's involved in this case. But it's Veterans Day week, and Ashley, you and I get to do very cool things because of that First Amendment that's all defended by soldiers who take that time to serve and in many cases are willing to lay down their lives. Just some of your thoughts on Veterans Day this week as we are rushing into the Thanksgiving holiday. I can't believe how fast 2025 is going.
I know this time last year we had already had the election over, so that was pretty crazy. But yes, thank you to all the veterans out there for serving our country bravely and proudly. I think this is a great holiday to reflect back on the sacrifice made for this country. Of course, we saw President Trump at Arlington National Cemetery earlier today, having a great speech there. I think he even called into the Pat McAfee show, which is quite entertaining, to talk to some of the Marines. In Parris Island, South Carolina also. So great moments there. Of course, I think Americans are very proud of our service members and should be. So I'm very excited going into the holiday weekend. And it's kind of a good time to reflect back on all the positives our country has to offer.
Yes, that is so true. And President Trump swearing in even more service members at the Commanders-Lions game this past Sunday. What interview will he not do? He is all over the place with different kinds of groups, especially those sports outlets, which you see President Trump kind of seems to relax in those moments. He loves sports as we do. And before we part ways...
Yeah, he might have a future career in it even. You never know.
I think so. It's you have to watch out. Pat McAfee, as one of those signs recently said, yes, I would have tackled Forrest Gump in Tuscaloosa. So Pat McAfee doesn't mess around, but we know his respect for the President of the United States and vice versa. And then moving into Arctic frost, any thoughts there as this develops? It looks like April 2022. This was really Christopher Wray's investigation. It led nowhere, but there were Republican senators and other colleagues spied on as a result of these electors who are now pardoned by President Trump this week, including America's mayor, Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah, well, this is just a continuation of kind of what we already knew that would be happening in the last 4 years under the Biden administration, as well what happened to President Trump with the judicial system being weaponized against him, as well as people, that worked in the first Trump administration through that period of time and on the campaign trail. So I do think, there's even congressmen that have been looked at on the Quiet Skies list, including National Director of Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, and multiple other congressmen that were named even on that list. So I think we have to look as a big picture of, as a country, should we be spying on our own citizens and our own politicians? It's an ethical issue going forward. I think Americans need to know about this, obviously, going forward. But I think this is why they call it the swamp. There's a lot of corruption. There's instances like this that take place all the time. And people have to be mindful of that going forward, whether it be a politician or just, you and I, because if it can happen to them, it can happen to us. And so I just think going forward, Americans need to be mindful of this and who they're voting for as well in upcoming elections.
Yes, we will go forward unafraid. Thank you to Ashley Brassfield, one of the best journalists out there in Washington, D.C., in the federal city, keeping her eyes and ears on Capitol Hill and everything inside of the Beltway. The Daily Caller, thank you so much for joining us, Ashley. We'll see you again soon on the right side of history.
Thank you.
The White House reporting new data regarding lowering prices and bigger paychecks as we go to the new year. President Trump's bold economic agenda delivering real results for the American people and families, with new data coming out from DoorDash's State of Local Commerce report, confirming that inflation has been tamed. Everyday prices are now beginning to drop and wages are growing. From breakfast tables to store shelves, President Trump's agenda is lowering costs when families need it the most. Now, fueling economic comebacks that will see big gains in 2026. This is only just the beginning as President Trump seeks to make America affordable again. Grocery prices on breakfast items specifically dropping 14% in the last 6 months. Here are the main takeaways from the economic agenda and what could be anticipated as discussion points tonight with members of Wall Street. President Trump has tamed inflation. The Breakfast Basics Index, which measures the price of 3 eggs, a glass of milk, a bagel, and an avocado, decreased 14% between March and September of this year and 1.7% over the past year. Now, the Everyday Essentials Index, which measures the price of toothpaste, shampoo, toilet paper, laundry detergent, pain medication, and diapers, fell over the past year alone. Now, Americans are beginning to see price declines. Over the past year, prices actually declined for cheese, cereals, and bars, fresh fruits, frozen meals, packaged meals, and also condiments, batteries, computers, accessories, phone equipment, and medicines, oral care, vitamins and supplements, also outdoor products, toys, and games. President Trump's policies are fueling real wage growth. Nationally, wage growth is outpacing restaurant prices and their increases, including at the city hall level in half of the city's study. Now, local economies are very resilient. 56% of consumers say that they have seen fewer businesses close in their neck of the woods over the past year. Overall, food spend has increased nearly 5% over the last year, faster than the prices have risen, suggesting consumers are buying more than the businesses in their community. So we'll watch all of this as Secretary Bessent has been very outspoken on these numbers, and that within the first and second quarters of 2026, we'll see a massive availability for affordability here in the United States, and that the tariffs are not a hidden tax, but rather bringing back billions and billions into the American economy. This is in addition to safer numbers with operations like Midway Blitz in Chicago, the same numbers that Mayor Brandon Johnson wants to take credit for, although he's been an anti-police mayor. Since Operation Midway Blitz began in Chicago, Illinois, 16% of a decrease has happened in homicides, a 35% decrease in shootings, 41% decrease in robberies, a 48% decrease in carjackings, and a 20% decrease in transit crime. In addition to that, Operation Dirtbag, which you have probably not heard about in the mainstream outlets,
Really?
sees over 150 illegal migrant sexual predators.
Did you just see Dirtbag?
Yeah, Operation Dirtbag.
Wow. He went straight to the point.
Nabbed in the free Sunshine State of Florida, according to Secretary of Department of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, announcing that just this week. We are awaiting President Trump to host a dinner at 7:30 at the bottom of the hour here for Wall Street executives. Meanwhile, there is debate on the United States House of Representatives floor back in session on this 7-week-long a potential end to the government shutdown, all provided to you by Senator Chuck Schumer of New York. We're watching that vote very closely. And this is Right Side Broadcasting Network in the prime time. We'll take a quick commercial break for sponsorships. I'm Robert McNeely. Do not change that dial. We'll see the president momentarily.
I love Right Side Broadcasting.
You said
They're
what?
good enough. I love Right Side Broadcasting.
Oh yeah. I think
They're
that
They're Christian based. They love Trump. They love the Constitution and everything that, makes the world great.
yeah. I think that it's very good what he's doing. And also I'm pretty happy about it because I know that means that I'll get a raise pretty soon. Because basically the economy directly relates to my job. And so if the economy's doing good, I'll end up getting a raise pretty quick.
No, that's good.
Yeah, if I request a raise right now, they would probably give it to me if I asked for it.
Ice cream, ice cream.
Yeah, I'm excited about this ice cream we got coming.
Ice cream. And pills.
So, what do you think about the tariffs? Do you think that it's a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't see it being a bad thing because it's helping us. And Trump even said it himself. We didn't have the tariffs. I mean, we would be in a lot of trouble. So it's
What-
like, I don't know how to put this. I don't want to say the wrong thing. Like, not really a bribe, but if you don't do this, we'll just tariff you, you know?
Yeah. But what about its
Yes.
effect on the rest of the world?
Huh?
What about its effect on the rest of the world? Like, a lot of people, a lot of other countries say that America is already robbing them. And then for Donald Trump to do that, like, they need us. And yes, they will, pay those tariffs. But at the same time, in the long term, it might end up causing problems.
I pray that it doesn't, but so far, Trump's doing a good job.
Yeah. I think that as long as it's managed properly, then it can be a very good thing. But I think that also, if somebody else gets into office, like a Democrat, and
They can use power again.
I think that, we could see darker days. But as long as the American people stay smart, stay vigilant, and,
I will move to an island if that ever. Nice blue skies for the most part, and just
don't move to Epstein's Island.
okay, I won't.
Time as we await President Trump to host
Well, President Trump should be
a
here
dinner
now.
this evening featuring Wall Street executives and a focus on the economy, moving past what many voters said on November 4th.
They never actually show what Trump eats during
Oh,
these
really?
dinners. Yeah, they don't.
That they were voting in the Commonwealth of Virginia to Minnesota, all the way back to the east coast of the Garden State in New Jersey, and just over the river into New York City, where they elected a communist, the Mamdani, who has gone along screaming at Tom Homan recently about, I guess, the border crisis and illegal aliens that have been apprehended by the Department of Homeland Security in conjunction with ICE and border agents who have selflessly served at the highest level. And it's really rich and ironic that these Democrats, whether it be Mr. Mamdani to Mayors Karen Bass and Brandon Johnson to those governors Gavin Newsom and J.B. Pritzker, have all called for the removal of those masks and for their identities to be revealed when these very people are receiving death threats from some of the most dangerous foreign terrorist organizations in existence, including MS-13, to the border cartels, among countless others who somehow found their way up north of our border into the 51st state known as Canada. And we're operating out of there during the Autopen administration. All of that coming to a screeching halt in the last 9 months of Donald Trump's second term in office. And thanks be to God for that, because they are the unsung heroes in all of this. And this week, as we honor veterans and the countless people who have put on those uniforms to defend the United States of America, it's also those at the domestic level, the localities to state police in conjunction with federal agents, even Governor Glenn Youngkin of the Commonwealth of Virginia stating that if it was not for the partnership that they had at the Department of Justice, the Attorney General Pam Bondi, FBI Director Kash Patel, and Border Czar Tom Homan, he would be at a loss, including Kristi Noem, the great Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, because it is a violation of federal law according to Title 8, with harboring illegal aliens. And we've had Governor J.B. Pritzker out there again going after law enforcement.
So it's the government that's on this?
I don't.
I said, is it? I'm pretty sure you said it was the government. What is wrong with them? Don't answer that. I already know.
It's a little bit above my pay grade. This is a subject that I'm not 100% familiar with.
For proudly displaying their pictures in front of what's known as Chicago's Bean, otherwise its official name of Skygate, which, as a Chicagoland native, I'm still confused as to why that even is sitting in the city. It's an odd structure, and it's really not worth your time. But if you'd like to go visit it, feel free to do so in a much safer city. That's thanks to President Trump and thanks to these federal forces.
I think
not that
Cloud Gate is something that everybody
who's
should
hovering
go
right now
visit.
between a
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that him saying that is like, come on, bro. Like, clearly you've never been there as a tourist. Like, maybe if you live there, then it's like, okay, yeah, it's just this big giant mirror-shaped beam, but or mirror looking beam. But at the same time, like, if you've never been to Chicago, that's one of the most iconic things about Chicago. Like, that's the only reason that I would go back or take my friends with me there, because I want to show them this giant, beam in the middle of their city. Without that, there's no, like, it's not iconic. Chicago would just be a big city. But with the beam, it adds character to the city. So I think that Cloud Gate should never be removed.
Yeah, that's true.
4 to 6% approval rating. So we'll see how his next election goes as he continues to divulge in racist tropes and attacking law enforcement and really odd comments geared towards the President of the United States. You think he'd like to pick up that phone and simply ask to partner up with a commander-in-chief who is focused on the safety of the United States. And once again, the numbers do not lie. President Trump, because of his leadership, because of his cabinet, getting the job done, not because of Mr. Johnson nor Mr. Pritzker, but because of President Donald Trump. Operation Midway Blitz in Chicago, Illinois. 16% decreases in homicide since that began. 35% decrease in shootings. A 41% decrease in robberies. Also a 48% decrease in carjackings and a 20% decrease.
Welcome, everybody. You can join the box. Just click on... Maybe I should resend the link again. Maybe. All right, there we go. Maybe. Sure it sends. All right. Just click the link right there if you want to get in the box.
Increase in transit crime. And that was all brought on by the initial...
Oh, and after this, I'll be showing the Northern Lights. I already have it up here.
Okay, bet. That's gonna be my favorite part.
Can't wait.
use of National Guard and federal authorities within the federal city and the District of Columbia. The proof is in the pudding that this administration has put the American people first in regards to safety and now is laser focused on this economy. And again, with Operation Dirtbag in Florida, Secretary Noem stating that 150 illegal migrant sexual predators have been nabbed. So as we watch all of this extraordinarily closely, President Trump will meet to host a dinner on behalf of those on Wall Street who have a say or two in the American economy. And President Trump has been very clear. He wants Wall Street to do well. He wants Main Street to do well. And many economists, many friends of ours here at the network, are predicting that because of the communist election of Mr. Mamdani in New York City, will Wall Street go elsewhere? Can it go to a financial mecca that has become Dallas, Texas? Will it move down to Florida? What will happen to major media outlets? Will they join us down here in the Southeast? Your humble correspondent has an opinion or two about that, because this part of the country is quite delightful. Even as it got somewhat cold this week, those temperatures begin to rise again, and it's rare that you see snow, although you've seen some down here in the Southeast United States across Alabama and Georgia. But there's a reason why the president's policies and the use of tariffs and his visits over to the Indo-Pacific have brought great companies like Hyundai and Toyota to produce and manufacture their cars right here in the United States and this region of the country, from Louisiana to Alabama and Georgia, seeing an increase in all of that. And you could see it. It's a major difference here with huge automotive factories and plants not too far from the RSBN studios. So we watch all of that closely as President Trump has really conquered globalization. The last 20, 30 years of Republican neocon policy, of Democrat neoliberal policy, and that of the living predecessors of President Trump, Bill Clinton to George W. Bush, Barack Hussein Obama, and ultimately the auto pen, all on display in that presidential Hall of Fame on the 45-second walk from the residence in the mansion to the Oval Office. I just learned recently as well that those portraits will be getting tiny plaques under them to highlight some of the successes of former commanders in chief. As President Trump put it in a recent interview from this week, these are tough people. These are serious people. But that of the auto pen gets just that, the auto pen, as we keep learning of cognitive decline, as we keep watching Arctic frost, and this operation ordered by Christopher Wray, the former FBI director, in April of 2022, intended on spying upon 9 Republican United States senators, colleagues, and hundreds of those of Republican conservative ilk inside and outside of the Beltway. Something you could point back to with the use of the Patriot Act, which was supposed to be temporary, which in some ways did its job finding foreign terrorists and bringing them to justice. But like those held at Guantanamo, we've seen in the last few years how some have not received a speedy trial, whether it's going back to January 6th, to those who were simply protesting outside of abortion clinics and so-called healthcare providing facilities in the Commonwealth of Virginia. They did not see their Sixth Amendment rights under the Auto Pen administration. Also those who chose to go to school board meetings where their children, K through 12, were exposed to pornography, whether it be in photography or pictures or heinous descriptions of different sexual acts, whether homosexual to heterosexual or anything in between. Those people also were arrested and investigated by the Federal Bureau.
Did he just say in school?
I didn't hear about that. At least they were already arrested.
Of Tennessee's 7th Congressional District will be watching all that for full force to be on the court in the House of Representatives. And a provision which surprised the House Speaker and also leadership, I guess, on the other side of the aisle, with Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries of New York, a provision to protect and civil pursuits for those Republicans who were spied on by Arctic frost. So we'll watch all of that. That might lead to someone like a Thomas Massie voting no on this potentially. We'll watch all of that. Of course, he is from Kentucky's 4th Congressional District, as we await President Trump to host a dinner and the potential getting out of this government shutdown by the end of the week. Stick with us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network as we take a quick commercial break for sponsors. We're proud to have you on this Wednesday evening in the primetime.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcast at every single one of President Trump's MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interviewed the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Tired of being told no by your doctor, your pharmacy, or worse, your insurance company? You're not alone. Millions of Americans are waking up to a broken healthcare system. That's why more and more people are turning to All Family Pharmacy. We believe in medical freedom. We deliver the prescription and the medication, all from licensed U.S. doctors and pharmacists, from ivermectin and trusted antibiotics to maintenance medications, even NAD+, the revolutionary anti-aging supplement. Use code RSBN10 at checkout for 10% off your first order.
Every once in a while, something big happens, something that changes everything. And now, in a defining moment for crypto, Trump Media Group and Crypto.com are joining forces to acquire up to $6.4 billion of CRO, launching America's first ever CRO treasury, empowering the Kronos blockchain. This is more than a partnership. It's the future of finance built in America. For more, visit Crypto.com, where millions trade CRO every day.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. We are awaiting President Trump to host a dinner of Wall Street executives. In the meantime, it's been Veterans Day week, and as we celebrate those who selflessly serve the United States of America, who choose to volunteer and put on that uniform, President Trump having a remarkable 23-minute or less, roughly just over 22 minutes, yesterday at Arlington National Cemetery, always moving to witness the commander-in-chief there at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. And those countless Americans, including two presidents, who rest in that aisle upon aisle of gray and white stone, serving the ultimate sacrifice for their nation on the former plantation of Confederate General Robert Edward Lee. It's a wonderful place to remain quiet and to feel the Holy Spirit and to thank God for the people who have served in countless conflicts to keep this nation free. So if you've not visited Arlington, Virginia, I implore you to do so when you can. And to watch the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, a Marine veteran himself, the first Marine to serve in the role of Vice President, along there with Secretary of the Veteran Affairs, in fact, Doug Collins of the great Peach State of Georgia, all saluting the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. It was a moving moment just yesterday. But in addition to that, All Family Pharmacy running a special for Veterans Day and for Veterans Week to celebrate those who have given of their time, their talent, their treasure, and in many cases been away from family and friends and postponed their own dreams in order to defend the founding principles nearly 250 years young. God bless them for doing so. And it's always appropriate, those in uniform, whenever you see them, just say thank you. Even the police officers, our state and local forces who do a thankless job in so many cases. And sadly, you have some organizations like Antifa who do not want them to succeed in being peace officers. But I believe that most people are good here in America, and they care deeply about those who wear the uniform, and that's why All Family Pharmacy is committed to those who do serve. And I had a recent interview with the great Michael Kunzler, co-owner of the organization. You can visit all of these great life-saving medications at allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You can hear more from Michael now regarding the All Family Pharmacy Veterans Special going on this week. Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's Michael Kunzler, our friend and co-owner of All Family Pharmacy, where you can find that at allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Veterans Day this week, we're celebrating the good old U.S. of A. and inspired by those who sacrifice so much to protect us. Included in the sale, can you dive into that for us, Michael?
Sure. So we decided to do a 25% off sale on all medications. So you'll be able to receive 25% off ivermectin, antibiotics, hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, any one of those products, whether it's a new order or our existing patients will be able to utilize it on a refill, which is awesome. And then as well as we're doing it on the vitamins, one of our vitamin companies, Operation Wellness, which we can dive more into. You'll also be able to see 25% off of those as well.
Yes, please tell us about this Operation Wellness.
Operation Wellness is our way of providing our over-the-counter supplements and vitamins to our patients, to our base. We know that these vitamins are of the highest purity. Everything is made here in the U.S. with our manufacturers. The reason we wanted to go this route is because we want to make sure that if we do provide vitamins to our patients, that it's a good quality company. So we oversee all that, as well as Operation Wellness has proceeds that we could jump into towards veterans. And specifically, the Veterans Day sale will also add to those proceeds to some of our organizations that we work directly with.
That's fantastic. It is really that time of year to not only celebrate those who are defending us in the line of battle, but also really to reflect on what we're grateful for as we approach Thanksgiving here. And we heard part of the proceeds from this Operation Wellness goes directly toward veterans' families. So how does that work?
So it's roughly around 10% of our total sales we donate every year to an organization called Children of the Fallen Patriots. The reason why we fell in love with this organization is I believe it's 99% of all proceeds are actually donated. By law, they have to state what percentage of donations are actually donated to those organizations. So outside of the 99 percentile of proceeds that are donated, it goes to the Children of the Fallen Patriots, meaning the family members of those who have obviously passed away in the line of duty or the active war. And so it helps them with schooling. It helps them with mental health. It helps them with college, high school, living expenses. It helps them with the numerous amount of funds that they'll need to get themselves through everyday life. Unfortunately, we've been to these events the last, I would say, 2 years. We've been a part of the organization donating. And it's a wonderful organization. It's a very sad thing to see, but it's a great cause, and we believe so highly in it.
And why is it important for All Family Pharmacy to give back in such a special way, especially to the Children of Fallen Patriots?
Well, we are a family-owned pharmacy. We're all about family. We're all about community. We started off as a community pharmacy here, and we started off as a family-owned pharmacy who just provides nothing but the best services to our patients. And we've grown over the years, and look where we are now. We're on RSBN talking about our business that we started off so small with. And so we felt as a family organization, we could provide those benefits and donations to the children who really need it the most. Some of them aren't even children now. They're in college and, they need money. They need to get through schooling. They just unfortunately don't have either that one single parent or they don't have both parents anymore. And so we feel it's a great place for us to donate our proceeds to.
Yes, and thank you for doing that, because it's such an honor to talk to you about the things that can actually save people's lives and then also prep them for this fall flu season where those sniffles come running in and then all of a sudden the whole household is sick. But how long will the Veterans Day sale run, and how can people take advantage of the 25% offer?
So the sale will run Monday through Wednesday. Traditionally, sales companies only do it on one day. The reason why we don't do it on one day is because we give our patients the time to place these orders. They may be working all day Veterans Day. They may not be available. Their kids might be home all day with them. As some schools are closed. So we give people that additional time to place these orders. So we give you 3 days for Veterans Day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So it'll end Wednesday at midnight. And in order to take advantage of the sale, you just use RSBN 25 as your coupon code. So RSBN 25, no spaces, all one word, and you'll be able to save 25% off your entire order. We didn't put any restrictions on it. It's on all medications, so you can browse the website, look for stuff that you may need during flu season. And one of the things I've always suggested as we talked here on your network is the maximum immune support. One of my favorite vitamins. I've been taking it since COVID. I've got a lot of insight from our doctors over the years, and high doses of vitamin C, vitamin D, quercetin, and zinc are very important during flu season to keep your immune system very high and no vulnerabilities to any of these viruses that are coming.
Fantastic. It's All Family Pharmacy at allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN with this very generous Veterans Day sale. And Michael, a great USA soccer shirt as we get ready for 2026, not only the midterms, but the World Cup. That'll be fun to watch. And you can take these life-saving medications with you on the road, too. So even though people are probably stocking up with their medicine cabinets, they could fit right in your carry-on.
Yeah, absolutely. What a time now when everybody's traveling, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, all the holidays are right around the corner. This is the perfect time to stock up on the meds. You don't want to be caught in a bind being out of state or being away from your home and not having any of these types of medications that you need. So it's a perfect time to stock up, especially with this discount.
Yes, sir. Michael Kunzler, All Family Pharmacy with the Veterans Day special this week. Thank you again for joining us on the Right Side of History.
Thank you.
So some things change in the news, hence new as the basis for news. As we cover the latest from the Trump White House, this event has become closed press. So unfortunately, we will not be having that pool feed and that coverage directly of the president meeting tonight with those Wall Street executives. So we will bid you adieu for the evening, although we did receive an email from the White House stating that it seems as if the White House is confident that the House will pass this H.R. 5371, the continuing appropriations, and then ultimately...
So we're not going to see Trump.
Yeah, apparently not.
Oh, well, it's a waste. You know what? Let's just watch
It was still it was still a very good broadcast. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, let's just see the beautiful northern lights since Trump doesn't want to show himself. I'm so sad. Wait a minute. Oh, here we go. Here is the northern lights. Let's see, does everybody see it? Well, it's taking a little bit of time to show it. Now these are so beautiful. I kind of skipped it to where they will start to show it.
And
So
right now is solar cycle 25, which started off in December.
Oh
so
my
kind
goodness.
of rare. We do see the northern lights often, but when you have a larger scale like this, a G4, you're more likely to see it across a bigger chunk of the country, well down to the south. The northern lights, the aurora borealis, all of that energy, you can really reflect that off of the northern pole. You may even see it across portions of South America. Those are going to be called the aurora australis.
Wow.
For us,
And they're so
tonight I'm looking at
strong.
some cities as far as the forecast.
oh, they get
Should be
a lot
mountains in
brighter.
October, anywhere near Minneapolis.
That is
But
just
you want to get away from the city
beautiful.
lights. Detroit,
Absolutely.
away from the city lights. The Dakotas have a great shot of seeing
And
the
seeing
northern
them in
lights tonight.
person is
Omaha,
probably even
Nebraska,
better.
Green Bay,
But
Yeah, I
Wisconsin,
think seeing
those
him
are
in
just a few of the
person
areas
would be
where if you
majestic.
can get away from the city lights, the light pollution, you have a really
Oh my
good chance
goodness.
of seeing those dancing lights, especially between 10 p.m. tonight and through the early morning hours tomorrow.
So I'm taking a look here on our screen. I'm so sorry, Craig. I know that you can't see it from your end, but we have the most beautiful photos here that have been submitted. Thank you to everyone. Again, during this conversation with Craig that we have him on here, you can still submit photos by scanning the QR code there on your screen or heading to
So beautiful.
And is this
Craig,
from Canada, or is this actually in America somewhere?
Were you able
This is in America.
yourself?
Where is it?
I am so bummed. I tell you what, I get up at 1:30 in the morning to come into work, and I leave for work about 2:30. I actually walk the dogs in the morning, and I didn't see a single light.
Wow.
I was so bummed. Of course, we have a lot of the lights from Manhattan and the big
Oh,
city,
thank you
so
for the
that was
lights,
probably
guys.
part
God
of the
bless. God
problem.
bless.
Said
It was pretty
Manhattan.
exciting when we saw it live from the University of North
Yeah.
Dakota
North
out there.
Dakota.
When you see some of those lights, it's
Dakota.
interesting. Whenever you see the greens and the reds, you're seeing more in the way of oxygen molecules. When you get to the blues and the purples, it's more of the nitrogen molecules. So quite a bit of scientific fun that goes into the aurora borealis. Not only is it beautiful, but it's pretty cool when you think about what's
And God
happening and
created that
creating
right
it
there.
and the colors that you actually see. I don't know, did you see any of them?
Okay, so I was gonna say, Craig, you and
So
I were in the
beautiful.
same boat because I was asleep when this was going on, right? Like, I wake up, you know, at the crack of dawn. I'm up at like 2:30 a.m. to come into work, but I wasn't outside, so I didn't see it, unfortunately. So I'm very grateful to the viewers for sharing all of this. But interesting, something else that you mentioned, because I have been pointing out just all of these colors. It's so amazing because I was saying earlier, you know, you see a sunset or a sunrise, you're used to like the pinks and the oranges, but these bright greens, these bright reds, I mean, it's fascinating how all of these colors can come through.
It's so true, because when you think about the colors that we see at our sunrise and sunset, a lot of it has to do with the light and the spectrum and the refraction of the light. In this case, you're talking more about those electrons that are coming off of the sun's surface, big solar flares that erupt. They make it to the Earth's atmosphere, and then they interact with the either nitrogen or the oxygen to give us the colors. So a bit of a different process. Of course, you need the clearer skies. And when we talk about our sunrises and sunsets, things that we think about that can affect that can be smoke from wildfires. It kind of infiltrates some of the sun that makes it through the color scheme, if you will. In this case, all you're hoping for is no cloud cover. There is a good chance that this will make it down to portions of the middle portion of the country where you can see it. I think early this morning, folks in Alabama were able to see it because of the intensity of this specific G4 event, if you will.
Yeah, and
They said even in Alabama.
Parts of Central Florida.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Fox 35 in Orlando. They were getting like some viewer photos also submitted, I think, or just, and people there down in Florida also able to see this. Oh, we got a beautiful shot here out of Loveland, Colorado. I mean, just spectacular, Craig. I know you're gonna have to take a look at this after the fact.
Do you know what's great? I can't wait, because you just talked about Loveland, Colorado. They actually opened up the ski area because of the amount of snow they've had and the conditions to build it. So can you imagine being in the mountains, snow-covered mountains, you look up into the sky and you see the dancing lights across the sky there. Loveland, they've got the ski area, but then the lower lying area is the city itself as well. But man, what a sight
I think that would
see snow-capped mountains.
I think that would be amazing.
With the colors dancing up in the sky. What a great sight. I would love to be in Loveland, Colorado. Congratulations to that viewer.
I know. And you know what? Colorado, beautiful already. But then, you know, you pair these skies. And honestly, Craig, I could be in a parking lot. And I'm like, this is great. This is a dream.
Seriously, right? Yeah, because you think Northern Lights, most people think you have to be closer to the northern tier. You see them often in places like Seattle, maybe North Dakota, some of the Great Lakes area, because you're farther north. But man, to see it that far south, it's pretty intense. And when do we get another G4? You know, they don't happen that often. So if you can tonight, try to take advantage of it. I know staying up past 10 o'clock in the evening might be a little rough for some folks, you and I included, because we get up so early in the morning. But I'll tell you what, if you get up early in the morning, take a look. Look to the north. You may see them.
Yeah, you know, Craig, you and I might miss them, but maybe tomorrow morning we'll get some more of these submissions, and that would be great. Just one more time, Craig, if anyone is just joining us here, again, these are beautiful. What a sight to see. Specifically, where in the country should people be prepared to possibly get this show, and at what times specifically?
You got it. So 10 p.m. tonight till about 4 o'clock tomorrow morning. And some of the cities that I'm talking about, I'm going to give you major cities, but if you're close to these major cities, try to get away from the light because you get light pollution from the city lights. So Minneapolis, Detroit, any place across the Dakotas, North or South Dakota, portions of Omaha, Iowa, and over to Wisconsin, Green Bay, Wisconsin as well. Kansas City would be about the farthest
I was just in that whole area.
tomorrow morning, again, 10 p.m. This
What?
would be your local time.
I was just in that whole area, like Iowa, Wisconsin,
Kansas City, I would say,
Indiana,
it's important to get away from
Kansas
the city
City. I
lights.
was in Kansas
If you've got
City.
clear, dark skies,
Ooh.
you might just be in luck. I would love to see your photos too, and video.
Oh my gosh, Craig. Well, you know what? You're gonna see this afterwards, and you know maybe we'll get lucky, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow morning. I mean, that's just
That'd be great. If you and I capture it, let's get some video and share it with each other.
for sure.
And all the viewers.
And so this is for tonight.
Especially because, you know, we're asleep. We can't even enjoy it. But we'll
This all happened, I think, yesterday.
Okay, yes.
enjoy remotely. All right, Fox Weather's Craig Herrera.
But those were the Northern Lights.
Wow.
Very beautiful. But I guess we're not seeing Trump, guys.
Unfortunately.
Oh, he wants to keep the talk to himself.
Reopen the government. So that could happen this evening in the Oval Office. Outside of that, at 5 minutes to 8 o'clock on the...
You know what? They should have like lights or sensors or something going up these poles, like red, white, and blue. That would be so, like, just make the whole White House, like, show your true colors, you know? Red, white, and blue.
East Coast, and a very happy hour of 5 o'clock on the Golden Coast of California. I'm Robert McNeely. We say good night to you for all of my colleagues here on the right side of history. May God bless you on this Wednesday evening, and we'll see you again very soon.
God bless you too, brother. Alrighty, guys. Well, I don't know what else to show. I don't know if there's any more Northern Lights. Northern Lights Wednesday night. Let's see this. Okay, this is you know how you drink water and it just makes you more thirsty?
Yeah.
There's something in the water. And it's bottled water, so I don't understand that.
Northern Lights, take a look at this. Some pictures 10 TV meteorologist Aaron White sent us from Morgan County. He took these last night, and Aaron says the key to getting that great snapshot is using long exposure, about 3 to 10 seconds, so you can change that exposure on your phone camera with that plus or minus option. Good news is you can still see the solar storm that brought the Northern Lights to central Ohio tonight.
It's now the strongest one we've had in this current solar cycle 25. 10 TV meteorologist Meredith Garfalo.
About the Northern Lights, take a look at this. Some pictures 10 TV meteorologist Aaron White sent us from Morgan County. He took these last night, and Aaron says the key to getting that great snapshot is using long exposure, about 3 to 10 seconds, so you can change that exposure on your phone camera with that plus or minus option. Good news is you can still see the solar storm that brought the Northern Lights to central Ohio tonight.
It's now the strongest one we've had in this current solar cycle.
Field explodes from sunspots pretty high up in the sky. And what they are doing is crashing into oxygen molecules. And
like, we gotta go. Like, no. Fox News. Let's see. New York City. Well, guys, we're not going to be seeing Trump eat dinner. He wants to be alone tonight. I was excited to see him. Which is okay.
What was the reason that they gave that they're not broadcasting it?
Oh, I can't even remember why.
I think they said something about he had told, basically he said that they couldn't.
There's going to be times that Trump's not probably going to want to broadcast it.
Yeah.
Maybe he will talk about it later on, but he just wants to talk to them by himself, you know,
Yeah.
which is understandable. You know how, and most of the time, the fake news is always there.
Yeah. "5 miles from the border of Pennsylvania."
Huh?
I said I'm 5 miles from the border of Pennsylvania.
I had somebody was talking. I was like, what? There's really nothing else on, guys. There's a lot of talk on the government. I honestly pray that they just because a lot of people are suffering.
Yeah.
But there's nothing else to watch. I'm trying to look. Is RQ blocking my face?
Yeah.
That rude RQ. That is so rude. Blocking my face. What? Just wait 1 minute. I hate this keyboard. It's so bulky. I'm gonna get me a thinner one. That's what I like about this laptop. Oh, she was even outside when she got this one. Let me show you guys. So beautiful. Let me switch this. Let me switch the position of the camera. Any cameras. This is gonna have to work. Let's see. Wait, did I even switch? Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Are you seeing a woman?
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
Okay.
To Foster Beach to catch the northern lights because it's usually dark enough to see the sky in all its glory. In case you missed it last night, here's what the sky looked like. Take a look at all these awesome photos and videos that our team gathered from
I don't have much options when it comes to making things big.
I mean, I can see it, yeah.
across the area and suburbs. Sky gazers were in awe late
This is
Tuesday
the
night as the sky lit
POV
up
of
in
like
various
somebody who would be
colors,
watching
even here in the city. Chicago and Midwest storm chasers also capturing photos in Ottawa.
Okay.
The sky shined of glowing green and purple. Of course, light pollution does decrease your chances of seeing the
That's
northern
the
lights.
POV of
You don't
somebody
need any
in
special
the
glasses
YouTube
to see
stream.
it, and it might be hard to catch it with the human eye, but colors danced across the screen if you look through your phone. Now, the science behind this phenomenon, it's actually solar storms that produce these colorful northern lights. The sun releases several bursts of energy, which are called coronal mass ejections. How bright the auroras are and how visible all depends on when those solar bursts reach Earth and how they interact with the atmosphere. So in case you missed it last night, there might be a chance that you could see the northern lights again tonight. Experts recommend
So they're saying potentially we could see it tonight. Unfortunately, it's so cloudy over here where I'm at. I just entered the west side of Pennsylvania, and it's super cloudy.
It is?
Yeah, it's really cloudy here. I'm hoping that the further I go, the less cloudy it gets, but you never know.
Trying to cancel the how do you cancel this? Well, that's how you do it. Never mind. I want to be on the right. Alrighty, guys. Let me see what these ones look like now. Wow, that's huge.
If you know of any live events that are like anybody can show up to that you would like to stream on your YouTube, you could have me show up to the event depending on where it is. And
Yeah, I'm gonna let everybody know that's listening in to my stream. We will not be watching Trump tonight because he wants to be alone tonight. So no dinner, just Northern Lights. That's all you're getting. I do my best. I was so excited to see Trump.
yeah. Lane split. Which side should I go on? I think I'm gonna go on this side. Hopefully I made the right decision. It looked like less people are going this way.
The road looks like it's new.
Yeah, they're working on it.
So your truck's white.
Yes, ma'am.
You need to paint it purple.
Is that your favorite color?
No, red's my favorite color. Red with like lines or something with black on it. Or you can go bold and just do leopard.
There you
go. People will notice your truck a mile away.
Especially DOT.
Yeah.
Is that legal paint?
That was a lot of trucks.
What was?
There was a lot of trucks going this way on the other side of the road.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they come in. Yeah, I think truck drivers rule the night. The majority of the traffic is trucks.
I've noticed that too. You guys are night owls.
Well, you see me, I started at like 7 in the morning and I'm gonna be driving till about midnight.
I don't see how you do it, but thank you for doing it. So how many miles do you have left? Hopefully not a lot.
Let's see. I know I have a lot. Yeah, 4 hours and 30 minutes.
My ice cream's almost
here. That's not crazy. Say what?
My ice cream's almost here.
Oh my goodness, it still hasn't made it?
No, it's almost here.
I hate to inform you, but that ice cream's gonna be melted. What's the worst DoorDash, Uber, or whatever that you've ever received? Like a delivery that you've ever received?
From Walmart, I got a thing of grapes, and they were molded on the bottom. And wow. I started eating them. The top that wasn't molded, they were still like perfectly fine. And And then I looked on the bottom and I was like, I went to brush my teeth. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to start checking those because I've never had that happen before.
Yeah.
I called in and we're like, oh, we can give you free strawberries. Just come down here. It's like, excuse me, you want me to come down there when you guys are that don't even want to keep up with your meats, with your fruit? Yeah, that was nasty. Well, now you're on your side.
Did it again?
Huh? You're on your side. Now you got me upside down. I don't like that. Well, now you got me on my side again. Go the other direction. Alrighty, guys.
Can you say me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Come back. I can't say. Now, looks like I'm watching live stream. Tested, mic check, mic check.
I hear you. Let me figure this out.
Today I'm thrilled to announce that the two.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Two world's largest pharmaceutical manufacturers, Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk, have agreed to offer their most popular GLP-1 weight loss drug. I call it the fat drug, remember? At drastic discounts. They're very effective drugs. And so far, I've never heard anything bad about them. I only hear good about them.
Why is Trump small and I'm bigger? I was about to say. Did you lose signal?
Is there anything bad about him, Bob? Yeah, I haven't heard anything bad. Someday maybe it'll come out, which will notify you immediately. But so far I haven't heard that, including the drugs known as Zepbound and Wegovy, often called Ozempic. This is a triumph for American patients that will save lives and improve the health of millions and millions of Americans. Amazing thing. They are amazing. I want to thank Eli Lilly CEO David Ricks, a friend of mine. We've worked long and hard. He and I got this whole thing started in a way. And Novo Nordisk CEO Mike Dustar for joining us today. Great, talented people. They make a lot of money. I looked at the money, but they're entitled to the money because the companies are doing very well. Along with Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Secretary Howard Lutnick. Do you take any of this stuff, Howard?
Not yet.
Okay, good. CMS Administrator Mehmet Oz, he doesn't take it. Food and Drug Administrator Commissioner Marty McCary, and Director of Medicare Chris Klump. And we have Steve, where's Steve? Is he here? Head of Public Relations for the White House. He's taking it. The United States is just 4% of the world's population and consumes only 13% of all prescription drugs, yet pharmaceutical companies make 75% of their profits from the American customer. I would say that's not so good, right? It's not exactly great. To address this chronic unfairness, I signed an executive order earlier this year instructing my administration to do everything in our power to implement most favored nations drug pricing, something that has been helped greatly by tariffs, because when nations refuse to do it, we should have put this in the case yesterday. I just said,
Make sure that my video is ahead, because I switched the positions of the boxes.
if you're not going to do it, we're going to charge you a like amount of tariffs. And they immediately say, we'll do it, which means that Americans should pay no more than the lowest price offered anywhere in the world. So that you've heard for years the disparity where you'll pay $150 for a pill in New York and you'll pay $10 for a pill in London. Now you're going to pay $20 both, because the world is a little bit bigger than the US, so it goes up that way, but you'll pay $20 and $20. A tremendous advantage to our country after years of being abused by the world system. Already Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and EMD, Serrano, have agreed to drastically lower their prices for American patients. And today, Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk are joining the phenomenal list of the most exciting announcements. I mean, nobody's ever had announcements like, and this has to do with other pharmaceutical products also. But we're covering this today because it's such a big seller. I guess it's the #1 selling thing there is today. These are two companies that behind the groundbreaking weight loss drugs that have helped millions of Americans struggling with obesity live better, longer lives, everything else. These are the two companies that really broke ground. Until now, neither of these two popular drugs have been covered by Medicare for weight loss, and they've only rarely been covered by Medicaid. They've often cost consumers more than $1,000 per month, and some a lot more than that. Americans have been spending as much as 520% more for Zepbound and 1,400% more for Wegovy than patients in Europe. Think of that. 1,400% more than a patient in Europe for the exact same box. And that ends starting today. The other countries are not happy with us. I don't think they like me too much, Bobby, but that's okay. Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk are committing to offer Zepbound and Wegovy.
Oh, I also want to let you guys know my speakers crap themselves, so just let me know if sound's always good.
At most favored nations rates for American patients. This will slash the cost of Wegovy from $1,350 a month to ultimately $250 a month. $1,350 to $250. Did I do a good job? They don't write about it. You know, they like to not write these things. And reduce, you think Biden could have done this? I don't think so. And reduce the monthly cost of Zepbound from $1,080 to $346. In addition, they're both committing that future GLP-1 weight loss drugs taken orally, which are currently under development, will be sold at no more than $149 per month. It's a massive, think of that. You go from $1,300 to $149 a month. We anticipate these new versions will be coming out in a very short period of time. All of these drugs will be available directly to the consumer at trumprx.gov. Trump, then why'd you use my name? Trump, it better be good. trumprx.gov, and I think it's turning out to be pretty amazing, right, Oz? Just as significantly, Medicare and Medicaid will finally cover the cost of these weight loss drugs for millions of patients suffering from obesity. Co-pays for Medicare patients will be as low as $50. This is tremendous savings. I mean, now you're talking about from $1,350 to $50. This is tremendous news for the American seniors. And you all remember when I had 1/8 of 1% for the year. I cut it 1/8 of, and I was so thrilled. But now we're cutting it 1,000%, 1,200%. Nobody's ever seen anything like this. Nobody else could have done it, but I say that modestly. In addition, you think it was easy dealing with these people? It wasn't. You think it was easy saying, your drug, Mr. Eli Lilly, that we're selling for $1,300 is going to be sold for $250. You know the amazing thing, the stocks all went up. I mean, these guys they're fantastic. Because it's going to equalize the world. The world's a bigger place, and it's going to equalize. I was a little surprised to see that, but I'm happy about it. In addition, Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk have agreed to provide all of their other medications to Medicaid at most favored nations prices. Most favored nations, meaning that you will pay the lowest price anywhere in the world. That's what you're going to pay. Whereas before they paid low prices and we paid, you know, thousands of percentile ahead more. And to sell these drugs to all consumers at deeply discounted prices via trumprx.com. When is trumprx.com opening?
The site is open. It will launch in terms of giving people prices before the end of the year.
Okay. Got to make sure it's successful. It's got my name on it. I don't want to be like so many others. I don't want to be like the train they're building in California, okay, which has about 15,000% cost overrun. Or the beautiful Obama building that he's building in Chicago for the museum, which is now shuttered up and dead. They got it up, and they couldn't finish. It's about, would you say, 5 years behind schedule? Yeah. And about 2,000% over budget. Then he tells us how to run Medicaid. Many of the most widely used drugs will be available for 60% off, or even more than that. In addition, all new medications introduced by Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk to the American market will be sold at the heavily reduced most favored nations price. Most favored nations price, that's the best. Because they have been thousands of percent lower than what we were selling in many cases. Furthermore, Eli Lilly is investing $27 billion. That's all? And Novo Nordisk will invest $10 billion. That's all? That's peanuts. In the United States to reshore, do a big domestic manufacturing job in the facilities they're going to spend. So Eli Lilly spent $27 billion. Novo is spending $10 billion in the United States. So they're building new plant and equipment. That's part of what will be $20 or $21 trillion this year. There's never been anything like it. I know nobody talks about it, but there's never been anything like, I would say, you would say, that there's never been anything like this ever, whether it's China or Europe, or you could take all of Europe, there's never been anything like this. So we're already past 17 trillion. We're going to be, I think by the time the year closes out, we'll have investments of over $21 trillion based on the way we're going. And by the way, tariffs are very important. Without tariffs, perhaps it could be a little bit different, to put it mildly. Tariffs are so important. The decision in the Supreme Court would be devastating to our country if we got a negative, devastating if we got a negative decision. But this is a great day for American health and healthcare, and for all of American patients. These are things that are miracles to have this happen. And they're, you know, we're bringing all our medicines, again, because of tariffs, we're bringing all our medicines. If you remember where during COVID, we made almost no medicine here. We had to go to China We had to go to Ireland. We had to go to other places, UK, to get our we didn't make it here. Now we're making it. We'll soon be making it all here again because of tariffs and my election, but because of tariffs much more. For years, politicians have talked about making healthcare affordable, but my administration is actually doing it. Americans deserve the best healthcare in the world, and we're now getting the best healthcare at the lowest price. So I'd like to ask somebody who's doing a fantastic job, Secretary Kennedy, to say a few words, followed by Dr. Roz, Dr. Klopp, and then Eli Lilly, CEO David Ricks, and Novo Nordisk CEO Mike Dustar. These are incredible stars in that business. Like Dustar is a big star. And I can tell you that David Ricks is one of the hottest people in the world in business, but the business that he's in is pharmaceutical. And the job he's done with Eli Lilly is incredible. Both of these gentlemen, they really are stars in the truest sense. And it's an honor to have you in the White House. And go to it, Bobby.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to start by thanking you, Mr. President, for declaring war on chronic disease in this country. This is something no American president has ever done. If we want to solve the chronic disease crisis, we have to tackle it, obesity. Obesity is the #1 driver of chronic disease. 50% of our adult population are obese or overweight. And it drives about 50% of healthcare costs in this country. Diabetes, cardiac diseases, we are going to see a decline because of this historic agreement. We're going to see a decline in costs, but also, more importantly, in the afflictions themselves. There are, President Trump is the friend of the forgotten American. Obesity is a disease of poverty, overwhelmingly. And these drugs have only been available for people who have wealth. At one point, the majority of prescriptions, the highest concentration of prescriptions in this country, was the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And what about the people who live in rural areas, who live in food deserts? What about the people in urban areas who live in food deserts and are suffering from obesity and are locked into that system where they can only get ultra-processed foods, which are aggravating the problem? This will be a lifesaver to them. It's not a panacea. It's not a silver bullet. President Trump has also instructed us to address and end the root causes of chronic disease, and we're doing that. We're about to release dietary guidelines that are going to change the food culture in this country. They're going to change the kind of food the military gets. They're going to change the kind of food that our children get. We're releasing those in December. The Presidential Council for Physical Fitness is going to get more Americans into, particularly our children, into physical activity so that we can attack the root causes of this. But in the meantime, there's nothing more important than we can do than lower this price. As I said, it is the #1 cost of all drugs. This is the biggest drug in our country. That's why this is the most important of all the MFN announcements we've made. This is going to have the biggest impact on the American people. All Americans, even those who are not on Medicaid and Medicare, are going to be able to get the same price for their drugs, for their GLP drugs. This happened because of the vision of David Ricks, of Mike Dustar, and the other people, and the people on our team who figured out a way to align the interests of the shareholders of their company with the health of the American public. And it is a momentous accomplishment. It took months and months of negotiations. And I had a wonderful conversation with Mike Dustar about his experience, and he thanked me for the caliber of people who are on our side of the negotiating team. Chris Klump, who walked away from $1 billion business in order to join this administration, Emma Hernandez, David Brooks, and of course, Dr. Oz and Marty McGarry, who made this happen. They saw that this could be a win-win situation, that this was not a zero-sum game. The Biden administration tried to solve this problem unsuccessfully, I might add, by throwing $40 billion at it. And they were able to achieve an agreement that will actually create savings for the American public. So we're making all of this available at a savings, and that's because the price of diabetes prescriptions is also going to drop. And the savings that we get from that are now going to make it available to people who do not have diabetes, people who have a BMI of 27 and above, or pre-diabetic, or have heart disease risk. They will be able to get it, but everybody will be able to get this drug, and it's going to change. We will lose, the American public, because of this agreement, will lose 125 million pounds by this time next year. Well, it is going to have dramatic effects on human health in this country. And I want to thank President Trump for his leadership. He said that I'd gotten a lot done as HHS secretary, but almost none of that is due to my ability. It's because I'm surrounded by people who are smarter than me, who are more able than me, and those people came into the administration because they were inspired by President Trump. People like Chris Klump are here because they see this.
Do you think they are smarter than you and
Yeah.
more able? No.
Believe me, they're a lot smarter than I am.
Why don't you take that job? He doesn't really mean that he's being modest, I promise you, but
it is true, unfortunately.
it's a beautiful thing.
But I want to thank you, Mr. President, because you've made me a success here by allowing me to attract these extraordinary people. And I want to again thank David Ricks, who we've been in this Oval Office again and again. You keep saying he's the smartest guy in industry, that he could talk a dog off a meat truck. But it came to the table. And Mike Newstar told me, he said...
He did convince people for 20 years that it was okay for Europe to pay $10 and for America to pay $140. That's why they make $45-50 million a year. He did. Finally, I said, I got it, right? You did. He did. But anybody can do that, and they're entitled. But now it's down to what it should be.
And Mike Newstar told me what a pleasure it was to negotiate with people who were smart, who had common sense, who were able to put themselves in his position and hammer out this deal that is good for everybody. And it's great for the American public. I want to close again by just saying that this is a tool in the toolkit. It is not a silver bullet. It is an arrow in our quiver. It will allow a lot of people who are locked into high-risk obesity to finally lose weight, to reset, and then start doing the kind of things that will address the root causes of obesity. So I want to thank these extraordinary CEOs for sticking with us on this, for allowing us to make this happen. Mike Newstar said to me, he said, we've known we've had to do this for many years. We just haven't been able to get over the edge, and that this President Trump's order, his executive order, was a catalyst to do something that we always knew needed to be done. So again, thank you for your vision, for your commitment, and thank you to all the CEOs and all of my team for making this historic agreement happen.
Bobby, you haven't changed your view on Tylenol for women that are pregnant?
No. As I said,
there's some false reports out about Tylenol that Bobby changed his view. I don't think he...
Well, the science changes, and the science does not look like it's changing. It's getting stronger and stronger. Every day, what we recommend is that pregnant mothers, talk to their physicians, that the mothers of small kids talk to their physicians, and we've advised the physicians to reduce the thresholds and to reduce the amount of Tylenol that they give to children as much as possible, and only use it when it's absolutely critical.
Thank you.
So we're going to go through some of the deal points, but it does make itself clear that the real stake here is the forgotten man. President Trump, I believe you won the election because you remember the forgotten man. You speak to them, they hear you, they listen to you, and he connects well because he actually does things that materially change their lives. Secretary Kennedy spoke passionately, as he always does, about the problems with obesity. And just to put some very fine point numbers on this, obesity itself is responsible for half of all chronic disease and definitely generates more than a quarter of all the money we spend out of CMS, the $1.75 trillion that we spend annually. We need to address this tempest of dramatically increasing prices for healthcare, and you're not going to do it just by throwing money at the problem. You have to actually literally deal with the causes of the increase in price, and pharmaceutical prices are a part of that. They've been a part of it for a long time, but this president insisted that we address it. In fact, the first time I heard this directly from you, sir, was in January at Mar-a-Lago, where he took Secretary Kennedy and myself, Mr. Ricks, who you'll hear from in a second, to dinner, and demanded explanations for most favored nation pricing and what's wrong with it. And there was not a good reason against it. Now, MAHA is critical. America will have to get fit in order to right-size the healthcare system, and MAHA has the answers. It has obesity management through diet and exercise and sleep and dealing with issues related to that. And I want to say it as clear as I can. Obesity is not an absence of GLP-1 drugs. We're all clear on that. But as Secretary Kennedy said, it is an arrow in our quiver that we must use and should use. The MAHA movement means making it easier for the right things to happen, easier for you to be healthy. If you're sitting at home and watching, that's what MAHA means to me. Reducing costs of the #1 most expensive medicine category in our country for Americans does just that. It is as MAHA as it gets. Today's the fourth MFN. President Trump highlighted the first three. Leading U.S. company, leading European company. We've dropped in fertility drugs, so we'll make lots of Trump babies, I'm hoping, by the midterms. But it's really about fairness. Fundamentally, it's fairness in pricing to Americans who have been getting ripped off, paying 3 times more than their European counterparts for the exact same product made in the same factory, in the same bottle, in the same packaging. We shouldn't be paying 3 times more, and we are no longer doing that. Fairness to the forgotten man also means dealing with the reality that they can afford a life-saving, life-changing drug that 10% or more of affluent Americans take, but folks without means can't manage it. Secretary Kennedy mentioned New York City. Actually, the #1 zip code is the Upper East Side, which is where you have property. And folks who know ritzy areas buy important real estate there because those real estate properties are worth a lot there. That should not be the #1 zip code in America for purchasing GLP-1 drugs. It speaks to the fact that we have an innately unfair system that penalizes folks who can use these medications the most, folks in the Rust Belt. Now, what are you supposed to do if the right thing to do for your health is right there, but you can't afford to get it? Folks need to be able to utilize these life-saving medications, and being fair about its distribution is essential. And we are democratizing access to these medications and dealing with a moral imperative to make sure that all Americans have access to avoiding all the obesity-related complications by making sure they can afford, if they do things right, not just MAHA appropriate interventions, but also medications like this. In fact, we think these deals, and this part's very important, we believe these deals within 2 years, by the time the ink dries on these contracts that were signed earlier today, within 2 years, based on our health improvements, we will be budget neutral. These drugs will not cost us money. The American taxpayers will be getting their money back. That's how important it is for us to reduce the costs of healthcare in this country, especially when it's due to preventable problems like obesity. In addition, we have an update, Secretary Kennedy. We thought it was 125 million pounds. Mr. President, our estimate, based on the company numbers as well, is Americans will lose 135 million pounds by the midterms. But I don't measure it in pounds. I measure it in saved lives. People can sleep again because they can breathe as when they go to bed. Folks whose knees don't hurt. People who don't have heart attacks, renal failure, dementia, all the things we know are associated with obesity and much more. This wouldn't have happened if we didn't have the right tools and had the ability with a team that has been spoken of early. So I want to call out Abe Sutton. He's in the back right there. He leads the CMS Innovation Center. It made the deal possible. And they are announcing today a new model, a brand new model aimed at getting to the vulnerable populations amongst us these medications. The forgotten man will be able to afford these drugs now. Governors will be thanking President Trump. They should be calling directly, sir, because they're going to be able to afford Medicaid next year in ways unimaginable, and they will stop crowding out education and other civil services. We cannot be a wealthy nation without being a healthy nation. That's why today's MFN deal is a historic step forward for all America, and this is something that I don't think is partisan. There is no way you can argue against what just happened. These numbers to my side here, that's just Administrator McCary, who's been instrumental in this process as well. $1,350 baseline. Chris Klump will go through the numbers, but just focus on that 245, which is what he's going to point you to. And Chris Klump has been an unbelievable leader, an innovator. You've heard his name before. He's spoken here before, but he is continuing to change the face of CMS, and I love the fact that with his leadership, we're bringing a lot of wonderful people in. Inma Hernandez has been mentioned, John Brooks as well, and many others, including Beth Kelly, who runs the legal issues around these issues, because these guys are barracudas, Mr. President. They will take you down, slice you in little bits. And Howard's been there. It's no longer happening. You've got sharp folks. We're open for business. It's a generational opportunity to serve, and people are showing up. God bless you. Let me introduce now Chris Klump, who is just makes my life easier every day. I'm so proud of him.
There are two sides to every story.
Not strawberries. This was not what I ordered, but it's good. Oh, come on.
All great deals are rooted in principles. We've talked about this before, and today we're announcing another truly great deal. I love this deal, and it's rooted in the principle of potential. This is about unlocking the full potential of every American, the grandmother, the grandfather, the father, the son, by unlocking access to affordable life-saving medications that make a meaningful difference in their lives when they need them most. That's what today delivers. It's a deal built on principle, for people, for the American people, and backed by policy that works. So the most important step to getting healthy is believing that your life has value, that God meant for each of us to have purpose and joy and to live fully. And to do that, we must be good stewards of our body. And the president has been fighting to provide another tool to do just this and enable this. And it's my pleasure to get to outline the contours of the deal today. So first and foremost, customary with the three prior announcements, all of the customary most favored nation terms that you've grown familiar with apply to these two deals. So this is actually deals 4 and 5. Full Medicaid portfolios today at most favored nation prices. Shared savings from existing drug prices in Europe deployed back to the United States. All primary care drugs at U.S. net prices or most favored nation prices available on Trump RX before the end of the year. And most importantly, all future drug launches across commercial, Medicaid, Medicare, and the cash markets at most favored nation prices going forward. Now, GLP-1s. So first, under this agreement, starting doses of oral GLP-1s will cost just $149 a month for everyone. That's roughly 1/8 the cost of the list price today. For Medicare, manufacturers are voluntarily reducing their prices for GLP-1s currently used for diabetes and other covered indications to $245 per month across all doses. The savings generated from this change in prices will be used to provide new coverage to obesity and those who struggle with obesity and also have high metabolic or cardiovascular risk. Again, all for the same $245 a month. That means Americans struggling with diabetes and obesity, with heart disease, or other chronic conditions can access these life-changing drugs more affordably. Medicare patients, importantly, will only pay $50 a month for a copay. This is a massive reduction from what happens today. For Medicaid, Novo and Lilly have agreed to extend the same new low government pricing to all 50 state Medicaid programs should they opt in. And we encourage them to opt in, and these will be available not just for diabetes and current covered indications, but also for obesity again. And in case you're getting tired of me saying it, at the same price of $245 a month, all covered doses. On Trump RX, the average price of injectables and orals will start at $350 on average. That's compared to roughly $500 today. And that will trend down to, you guessed it, the same $245 a month over the next 24 months. That is 1/5 of the list price. It is 1/2 of the best price in the United States today. We're hoping, Mr. President, that your friend who has to travel to England to afford these drugs will no longer need to do so and can come and do it in the United States. I'll also just mention that the $149 is $1 less than what you asked us to achieve. Just gonna make sure that's clear. So I want to highlight two other really important points that make me love this deal so very much. First, this isn't about spending more, it's about spending smarter. The savings from the diabetes drug price reductions are being used in a cost-neutral way to fund the new indications for taxpayers. That's amazing, and that happens inside of that same 24-month period. It's cost-neutral. We're spending the money more wisely. But second, this isn't just about lower drug prices for Americans, though it does do that, but together with physical activity, with healthy eating and diet, and where appropriate, the use of breakthrough GLP-1s, the real return on investment is healthier Americans, lower chronic disease, lower costs, we estimate by tens of billions of dollars a year, and most importantly, higher productivity. Today is about freeing Americans from the weight, literally and figuratively, that holds us back. It's about unlocking the potential of every citizen to live fully, to contribute fully, and to find joy in their health. We cannot reach our full potential as a nation if we do not reach our full potential as individuals. And we cannot reach our full potential as individuals if we are not healthy. Thanks to Nova and Lilly for showing up so constructively over the last several months to make this possible. In particular, thanks to you, Mr. President, for again demonstrating that you fight for every American, this time for potential. It's now my sincere pleasure to first introduce Dave Riggs from Lilly and then Mike Dusto from Nova.
Great, thank you, Chris. It's truly an honor to be here today for this historic step forward to expand access to a class of medications that can fundamentally change the arc of chronic disease in our country. Of course, these are the incretin or GLP-1 agonist that we've been speaking about. For nearly 150 years, my company, Eli Lilly, has been investing in America. We've been advancing science and creating high-value jobs. But today, oh, are you okay? Gordon, you okay?
Oh, come on. No. I forgot that was the video.
Press out. Press. We're going. Thank you, press. Press. Right, guys. Cameras. We're done rolling. Cameras.
Can you guys shut the camera off?
Understanding. It's what we're all
Whoa, what video was that? Oh, why did I show that again?
after. So let's make
I literally had a heart attack. Well, I'm done. Oh my goodness, I forgot that was the video and I already recorded this. I recorded it again. That breaks my heart what he went through. You know what, we'll just have it on Trump. And I'm cold from my ice cream. But oh well, I'll warm up here. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you want, please subscribe, comment, like, and share my content so we can get more amazing people here to interact and just enjoy my content as well. If you're wanting to support me, you can do it while I'm live. All you gotta do is just point your phone to the QR right there. And just turn your camera on and it will direct you because a link will pop up. Or you can just do it the simpler way if that's what you choose. I think it's simpler. Just go to my YouTube and it's in my bio. I do want to give a shout out to all the ones that are supporting me on Patreon. God bless every one of you. And shout out to my editor. He's amazing. God bless him. I don't have any updates on that man that had a heart attack, but I pray that he is okay. I didn't expect to record it 2 times, but I did. And I'll be getting new speakers. My LED speakers cracked themselves. I don't know how. They're not even a year old. Well, certain things malfunction, I guess. But and before you guys say, did you try this? Did you try that? I tried it all. I looked up what I had to do, what I could do. And they said if it still doesn't work, then it's a failure within the speaker. Or it could just be a wiring. But other than that, pray for everybody as I pray for you too. And I will see you guys. I am actually sorry we didn't get to see Trump do his dinner speech. I was broadcasting it on Right Side Broadcasting, and out of nowhere he said that they will not be doing it. I guess things changed. It's okay. It happens. But I will see you guys on my next stream. Stay healthy. Stay humble. Okay, that's very important. Stay humble. Know that you're wanted and loved by our Lord and Savior. And I will see you guys on my next stream. Stay safe, okay? God bless every one of you. And thank you again for my YouTube and everything that you've done for it. And the likes. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of likes. Thank you.